In January 2010, about 18 months into my journey of becoming minimalist, I stumbled upon a concept that would forever change the way I viewed not just my possessions, but my life as well. It's called the Pareto Principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. The principle suggests that 80% of consequences comes from 20% of causes. While it was originally formulated by an Italian economist named Pareto, who noted that 20% of people owned 80% of the land, its applications quickly stretched far beyond economics. In fact, the first time I heard it, it was in a conversation concerning clothing. We wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. As I heard it explained, I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? That sounds about right. It felt like a light bulb moment, and I began noticing it almost everywhere I looked. I almost always wore the same coat. I watched the same channels. I used the same spatula, the same pan, even the same burner on my stove. The principle became about more than numbers and statistics or even the exact percentages, but it became a lens through which to see my excess possessions. Why continue to collect more and more when I'm still going to use my favorites 80% of the time? Why lose so much of my life storing and organizing the 80% when I use them only 20% of the time? And how can I structure my life, especially in terms of organization, to make the 20% that I use regularly more efficient? The application of the Pareto Principle are almost endless. And every time we recognize a new area of life where it applies, we can discover patterns and make more intentional choices. When applied to our belongings, it becomes a powerful tool that can help us recognize and minimize the unnecessary possessions in our home and life. So let me show you what I mean. Here are 15 places I've noticed the 80-20 rule in my life. Number 1, clothing. As I mentioned, this is where it all began for me. Generally speaking, I wear 20% of my clothing 80% of the time. Most of us do. So then, we can identify the 20% that we love and consider everything else a good potential to get rid of. Number 2, shoes. Just like clothes, probably just a small portion of your shoe collection gets the most use. Even with shoes that we keep for special occasions, we tend to wear the same ones frequently. Number 3, kitchen utensils and appliances. A handful of our kitchen tools handle most of our cooking needs. In fact, Mark Bittman, in a New York Times article titled "A No-Frills Kitchen Still Cooks," once listed out the only 33 cooking utensils you need to cook almost anything. I found it to be a super helpful list. And once we see that, it's easier to look in the back of drawers and cabinets to find some of that 80% that we don't need to keep anymore. Number 4, what about books? Indeed, some books can hold sentimental value, and there are some books that we go back to because we need to or want to reread them. But most likely, if you're keeping a large collection, only about a fifth would fall into that category. Minimizing a book collection can be difficult, but applying the Pareto Principle to your collection can be very helpful in your efforts. Number 5, toys. Just like adults, children tend to have their favorite toys and play with the same ones over and over 80% of the time. Once your kids are old enough to help you minimize, help them see this fact and more easily identify the toys that are worth removing. If you need more motivation on this, take a moment and Google how fewer toys will benefit your kids, and you'll find lots of helpful research. Number 6, the cleaning supplies we use around the house. I'm a big fan of multi-purpose cleaners and supplies, and I thank this principle for helping me see that. In fact, I'm pretty convinced almost everything in the house can be cleaned with Dawn dish soap and vinegar. Now, that might be an overstatement, but it is true that just a few key products can handle almost every cleaning task. Number 7, decorations. Think about how this principle applies to the decorations that we hang on our walls. It's possible you're only displaying a percentage of the decorations you own, but more likely, of all the decorations in your house, only a small percentage carry a significant meaning. So display those more prominently. And you'll probably find this applies to seasonal and holiday decor as well. Number 8, office supplies. Got a drawer full of pens and pencils, but keep reaching for the same ones over and over again? Exactly. That's the 80-20 rule. Number 9, electronics. Electronics tend to get pushed to the back when new models and new features arrive. So if you have a large stash of electronics that you no longer use, and you're just using 20% of the ones that you own, then this is a good place to consider minimizing. But beyond that, this principle can be applied to the apps we use and the websites we visit as well. Number 10, linens. Again, we often have more towels, sheets, and blankets than we need or use. It's almost funny to think about now, but when we first discovered minimalism, we had a pile of towels in our linen closet, but we just kept using the same ones over and over again from the very top. So keep your favorites and donate the extras. Number 11, what about food? In our family, as is the case with many, I began to notice that we were pretty content to eat 20% of our recipes 80% of the time. Tacos, chicken, salmon, salad, spaghetti, those types of things. And once I noticed that fact, and I decided to embrace it rather than fight against it, it became easier to plan meals, to grocery shop, and to eat healthy. Number 12, makeup and toiletries. Most of us use a small portion of our beauty and our hygiene products daily. So declutter and keep the ones that you love and you use regularly. Number 13, what about the furniture in your home? Make a mental note sometime of how often your family sits in the same places most of the time. I can't guarantee that there will be opportunity to minimize furniture because of this, but when you notice, it might be helpful long-term in the furniture you choose to buy or replace. Number 14, square footage. Interestingly, studies prove this to be the fact that we typically spend 80% of our time in the same 20% of our home. So think about your home and immediately ask if you own more square footage than you need, because your greatest expense might be your greatest opportunity to save. And number 15, your digital life. Likely at work and at home, there are just a small percentage of apps, files, websites, or programs that you use regularly. Again, 80% of your time is probably spent using the same 20% of your programs. So optimize your digital devices to make them more efficient by bookmarking the sites you use most, putting those apps in a prominent place, and removing the ones that you never use anymore. I actually enjoyed sitting down to think through this list, and I probably could have kept on going. It's absolutely fascinating and life-changing once you become aware of the Pareto Principle. So notice places where it applies, and then ask yourself how it should affect the way you live. Take a new look around your life, and if you've got any areas where the principle applies, but I didn't mention them here, add it as a comment below so others can benefit. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes here today. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing or sharing it with someone who might benefit from it as well. Actually, adding your comments below is also a super helpful way for getting the word out. So your support helps us keep making thoughtful content. Thank you.